All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our first Game Day live streaming college football NFL preview show here at Beef O'Brady's, our presenting sponsor this football season. We are here at the Beef O'Brady's on the corner of Busch Boulevard and Himes Avenue. We are here going to be giving you a little hour and 15 minutes or so pregame show leading into the 3:30 college football games. We got a great slate of games going today. We got some great games tonight, some interstate matchups here in the state of Florida. USF Florida tonight, UCF and FAU. We got a big showdown in College Station, Miami and Texas A&M. So we got a lot going on. We're also going to recap the Florida State win last night in Louisville, 35-31. Here in just a few minutes, we're going to have TJ Reeves of Buccaneer Radio Network. He's going to come aboard. We're going to talk college football. We're also going to give you a great preview for the game tomorrow, Bucs Saints in New Orleans. Both teams 1-0. You know, want to mention, get out here to Beef O'Brady's. They got a great atmosphere watching games. We're sitting here right in the dining room area. Got a packed restaurant watching Nebraska, Oklahoma, watching Georgia, South Carolina. Got TVs all over the place watching the Rays play. Whatever you need sports-wise, this is the place to be. Beef O'Brady's, Busch and Himes, right over in the Carrollwood, Forest Hills area here in Tampa. So great place, whether it's Sunday, Saturday, Monday night, Thursday night. They do trivia events. They have karaoke. So just a great place. TJ Maloof's the owner out here. They just remodeled the entire restaurant. We're going to give you a view here at some point during the broadcast. We'll get TJ on as well. But again, great job by TJ with this remodel and the great setup he's hooked us up with. You can see people walking in and out behind us. Again, we are live on Facebook Live on Jason, my Facebook page, the YouTube channel, Jason Powers Sports Channel as well. So we're going to be here a couple times a month throughout the football season, giving you all the things you need to know going into the weekend's worth of football games and such. Here, Beef O'Brady. So, college football, Nebraska. Remember, Nebraska's made a coaching change this week. Scott Frost out. Mickey Joseph in. Hasn't seemed to work very much. Halftime score, Nebraska 37, Oklahoma 35. 35-7 Oklahoma here at the half. Got Georgia rolling early in Columbia, South Carolina. Got Purdue, Syracuse going on. I'm watching. Got the Rays playing. It's 4-3. Texas Rangers replay. That's a replay from last night, so excuse me. But a good slate of early games. Got a great slate of 3:30 games. Penn State, Auburn kicks off at 3:30. BYU, Oregon. You got UAB and Georgia Southern. Remember, Georgia Southern went to Texas A&M last week and won. So we're going to have a great Mr. Reeves.
How are you?
Can you hear me?
I can. We're all good. You got me?
Yeah, let's try a little louder here. I'm going to try.
No problem. I know you're doing things live and on the fly, and hopefully everybody can hear me and we're all good.
Make sure. Can you hear me better now?
I hear you fine. You got me?
Yes, we can hear you. All
Outstanding.
Right, so Mr. Reeves, welcome to the Game Day live broadcast here. We're at Beef O'Brady's right down the road from you. You're not far down the road. I know you are getting ready to head to New Orleans, Louisiana for the showdown tomorrow in the Superdome. Excited?
Very much excited, and obviously there's tons of college football. We got NFL tomorrow with the Buccaneers and the Saints. Is there a little bit of subplots, just a few, for that game tomorrow? So we're going to have fun talking about that. I'm thrilled for you. You're hanging out at Beef's. I need me some of those wings. I don't go the hot and spicy route. Mrs. Reeves at Beef's loves the nuclear wings. I am not a nuclear guy. So I have some nuclear wings on her behalf. I love the pressed Cuban at Beef O'Brady's. So I'm kind of envious of being there with you, with hanging out at the Beef's in Tampa.
We will get you. We are going to be here for the Thursday night Miami-Cincinnati game in a couple weeks. We will be here in October when the Bucs play Thursday night against the Ravens.
Love it.
Probably be here. We're going to be here the Saturday. You're going to be calling the game in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. A&M in Alabama, October the 8th. We are going to be here as well.
Wow.
So We're going to be here a couple times a month through the football season. Again, doing it's a beautifully renovated restaurant and all that stuff. And I know you've been here. Bertie you told me you used to live right next door to the beach.
Yes, I am very familiar with that area and with being right there in the Tampa area where you are right off of Northdale Mabry. So that used to be my stomping ground. So, and it's a shame we don't have any football games to watch today involving the state teams. I know you do a great job on the Florida Football Insiders podcast. But we got direct. First of all, Florida State, the exhale comeback last night. So that's kind of the entree to today, where you've got USF in Gainesville against the Gators. You've got Florida Atlantic hosting UCF, and you've got Miami in the late night game. I've got to pay attention, as you mentioned. I'm working Texas A&M Alabama next month. I got to watch some Texas A&M Miami tonight once we get to New Orleans. So there is no shortage of avenues we can travel here with the college football. There is so much going on.
Let's start Florida State last night because, unfortunately, as you know, I was refereeing high school football last night till about 11:30.
Yes.
So I didn't get to see any of the Florida State game. So to give the audience and people that maybe didn't see the game a little, I know the quarterback got hurt for Florida State. Give us a little review of that Florida State Louisville.
Well, you had Jordan Travis injured. You had it's Verse, right? That's the outstanding running back receiver. He's also hurt, so it was looking dire. I'm on social media, Jason, and every Florida State fan is bemoaning this is the end of it. The season is over on the Friday night in September in Louisville, and then lo and behold, Rodeker, if that's how you say the name, he came in the game. I did the Florida State Miami game on national radio 2 years ago in Miami, where Miami annihilated Florida State in Mike Norvell's first season, the pandemic season. And that kid played mop up at the end of that game when Miami was beating them by 45 points. I haven't really seen him play a lot, but man, did he show composure, made some big time throws. And this tight end that Florida State has, Jason, in James Lewis, number 14, he became suddenly the breakout star of this game. And suddenly, I'm sure all over the ACC for Florida State opponents and everywhere else, they're looking at that kid going, he is a problem. He got vertical, Jason, down the field on about a 60 or 70-yard catch that set up a touchdown. He made a phenomenal catch for the go-ahead touchdown for them to win 35-31, toe-tapping in the back of the end zone. I mean, he was making like Mike Evans or in the day Randy Moss and Chris Carter. Pick one, Julio Jones that you've seen toe-tap like that. This kid, James Lewis, I believe I've got it right, is the tight end for Florida State. He was tremendous. And
Johnny
what a
Wilson,
win.
the transfer from Arizona State, had 150 yards, 7 catches.
So that's it. Forgive me. Johnny Wilson is the transfer from ASU. Yes. And I don't know why I got the other name on the brain. He was fantastic in this game last night. And Florida State, for all the mishaps and the problems, and they were losing a lot of that game, they're 3-0. If you're a Florida State fan, do not apologize for being 3-0. I mean, just be happy that you got into the 3-0 mark here, the first 3 games of the season.
And maybe it's turning for Norvell. These were the games they would have clearly lost in the last 2 years, the close ones. Anything close, they found a way to lose. Maybe they're finally getting it together culture-wise. Again, we don't know what the status of Jordan Travis is, so that'll be key moving forward. But again, the Rodemaker kid looked like he played pretty well from the highlights that I saw.
Yeah, I'm looking for what he did in relief. You mentioned Wilson, 7 catches, 149 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He was the breakout scorer. And Rodemaker finished in relief 6 of 10, 109, and the 2 touchdowns. He had the long one to Wilson, about a 60-yarder. I'm looking for what his long completion was or what Wilson's long catch was. That turned the game around. It turned the momentum around. It was a 69-yard catch and run by Wilson. It turned the momentum back in their favor, and then he did, Rodemaker, a great job leading them down the field for the go-ahead touchdown, and then the defense did the rest. They intercepted Malik Cunningham, and they got it done. So Florida State is riding high. I know the Gators are smarting. I've talked to several Gator fans in the last couple of days, including a couple of them this morning, and they are ready to beat up on USF. My question for you is, do you think Jeff Scott and his Bulls going into Gainesville are going to have anything for them tonight, or is this an 18-wheeler orange and blue with GATORS on the front of it that's about to run them over?
I mean, I've been fortunate. I've been able to see them practice a couple times this year so far. And by the way, 42-7, Oklahoma, Nebraska.
Wow.
32-7, by the way. Live updates. Jeff Scott, I mean, if you're USF, you just can't go get beat 55-10 tonight. You have to be competitive for at least a half, I think. They've got players. They've got a senior. They got some experience on the offense, especially. You got to score some points because Florida's going to score some points. You got to figure out a way to score 24 points to stay in the game. Not that you have to win the game, but you at least have to be competitive, and it can't be 38-3 at the half.
And you want my stat? I think I shared this with you earlier in the week. I shared it with a couple of people. There are only 7 teams in FBS or Division I football. All the power conferences, and then the next level behind it, the American, the MAC, the Sun Belt. 7 teams in all of college football that have not thrown a touchdown pass in the first 2 games of the season. The Florida Gators and the South Florida Bulls are 2 of the 7 teams playing each other tonight in Gainesville that have not thrown a touchdown pass. If you're Jeff Scott, you hope that continues for the Gators. You hope he doesn't throw any on you. I don't know if they're going to throw any on Florida's defense or not, but we'll see. And it's not a good thing that Florida lost to Kentucky last week as the sandwich game before this, because I think they're going to be focused. They're going to be angry. And if you're USF, you want to just try to keep it respectable in this matchup. You want to stay within arm's length and try to keep it respectable. I know Bulls fans are fearful this thing could be 28-0, 35-0, get ugly and get away from them. Let's see what happens.
And the other in-state matchup, key, I talked to Coach Levitt this week. He's part of my podcast. He's with us every week, the coach and the kicker. Coach Levitt thinks this UCF FAU game could be a game tonight down at FAU. I think UCF's about an 8-point favorite. He really thinks that Willie Taggart can keep the game close and, potentially win the game. I mean, Louisville goes to UCF last week and beats them. They did not look very good on offense, Gus Malzahn and company. So Coach Levitt really thinks FAU can give UCF all they want tonight.
And they've got the Miami transfer at quarterback for Willie Taggart, N'Kosi Perry, who was the on-again, off-again Miami quarterback over the last 3 or 4 years. So he's in there. And then John Reese Plumlee is the transfer quarterback from Ole Miss to UCF. Now, the interesting subplot here is Willie Taggart has history, obviously, against Central Florida from his days at South Florida at USF. So much so, it all is intertwined, Jason Powers, that at the end of Taggart's USF career, before he took the Oregon job, in the final game of the regular season, they blasted UCF at home on the Black Friday weekend. I don't think it was a Black Friday game, but it was like a Saturday game at Raymond James. They destroyed them, and he tacked on a couple of touchdowns. He tacked on a touchdown in the final minute of the game, and there was a very uncomfortable confrontational handshake between both coaching staffs with he and Scott Frost. And lo and behold, about 6 weeks later, Willie Taggart took off and took the Oregon job. Scott Frost then later led UCF to a perfect season, and in that perfect season, they tacked a couple of them on USF without Taggart there. All right, fast forward, Taggart's now the Florida Atlantic coach in Boca Raton.
Right.
Is there going to be some bad blood? I know Gus Malzahn's a different coaching staff. None of the players, none of this matters to anything other than UCF fans, alums, and Willie Taggart. Right. Because it's not even a Florida Atlantic problem. But could this be a battle where if UCF gets up on them, somebody's nudging Gus Malzahn? Let's throw for 500 yards if we can on Taggart. Let's try to score 45, 50, 55 points if we can on Taggart. That'll be very interesting. And I know Coach Levitt was with Willie Taggart not only at Florida State, but with him down at Florida Atlantic at FAU. We'll see how jacked they're going to be. It's a nighttime game. We'll see how jacked they're going to be in that one. Again, there's no shortage of subplots here because the Miami game is going to be going on. How many eyeballs? How many eyeballs am I going to have, Jason Powers?
A couple. I know you like to watch it on the telephone, on the device, on the laptops. You'll have all the different streams going. So let's get to College Station. That's the big Miami A&M showdown. Interesting subplot here. Former Buccaneer quarterback Brad Johnson's son, Max, transfer to A&M, is going to start the game tonight against Miami.
Yeah, after the struggles last week against Appalachian State where they lose at home. I mean, they were all set to have ESPN's College Game Day there live, blah, blah, blah. And they go and they fall flat and give Appalachian State a lot of credit
They got beat soundly.
Come into Kyle Field and win that game. So now is Texas A&M going to regroup? And is Jimbo Fisher gripping a little bit? Is he panicking a little bit? Again, I got the privilege of working the LSU-Alabama game on national radio that Max Johnson played in when they were a 28-point underdog last year in November, Jason, at Tuscaloosa, at Bryant-Denny, and they were right in the game. They were winning the game in the first half. They were down one score in the fourth quarter, had the ball a couple of times. Inexplicably, if I can get it out, Ed Orgeron, who had basically, he knew he was basically fired. He got inside the 10-yard line in a 6-point game, had like 4th and 6. They don't kick a field goal to go down by 3.
Right.
Where at the end of the game, they got the ball back one more time, and they would have only needed a field goal to tie. Instead, they needed a touchdown. Max Johnson ended up completing a couple passes, threw a couple Hail Marys. They didn't get in the end zone. They lost the game. So now you fast forward with Orgeron gone, with Brian Kelly in.
Yep.
The son of Brad Johnson transfers and now is ready to play. I will say this: he is not tremendously mobile, but he is big. He has got a good arm.
Pretty accurate.
And you just wonder, will they rock and roll with him, or will Mario Cristobal's defense blitz him, give him problems? That's another fascinating thing to watch in that game tonight with 100,000 looking on. I mean, Miami, you want to know if Miami is back? The Hurricanes would eat opponents up in the 80s and 90s in this situation on the road. I don't know that Cristobal deserves that kind of scrutiny right now in Game 3, but this is kind of an interesting test because the old school Canes, etc., they would go in as the road villain and would win this game all the time. They would embrace it. Yeah.
And Miami's number one receiver out of this game, Represpo, I think a foot injury.
Yep.
Remember, Gator fans, Max Johnson went to the Swamp 2 years ago at LSU and beat Florida when they were a big underdog at LSU when he was the quarterback at LSU.
2 years ago.
Yes.
In the fog, they came from behind and won that and got to have a victory moment. So the kids got experience.
And Miami's got a quarterback, Tyler Van Dyke. Big expectations for him. Big pro prospect for a lot of people in a lot of people's eyes. This again, back to like Florida State. This is the game, Miami. You can't lose close. You got to win this game because if they win this game, you look at Miami's schedule after tonight. They got a pretty good schedule until they get to Clemson. They got a chance to really make a run here.
Well, and the big key for the Hurricanes, obviously, is they have talent. We know that. Defensively, they have had issues. Cristobal is a defensive-minded guy, and obviously Manny Diaz, the former coach, was a defensive-minded guy. But their problem for so much of the last 2 years is they couldn't stop anybody, Jason. So you wonder, is some of that fixed? Do they have enough personnel for that to be fixed tonight? I'll tell you who else is a fun player for the Hurricanes to watch. They've got a couple of them for Miami.
Parrish, running back's a transfer.
Yes.
Really good player, Henry Parrish.
They've got him carrying the football, and I'm looking for a couple of the other names because I worked a couple of Miami games, as I mentioned, the last couple of years. But the Canes always have a couple of running backs that are explosive, it seems like, and we'll see if they're ready to try to run the ball a little bit in this game as well. I'm just double checking here on a couple of the names. Yeah, it's Jalen Knighton, who hasn't carried it very much. Knighton's only carried the ball 6 times in their first 2 games. He is an explosive, fast running back. I don't know, Jason, if there's an injury situation there. You may know that where he's only carried it 6 times.
Right.
But if Knighton's ready to go, Parrish, by the way, is averaging 6 yards a carry and already has 4 touchdowns in their first 2 games. Granted, the opposition is Bethune-Cookman and Southern Miss.
Correct.
That ain't Texas A&M at Texas A&M, brother. That's not the same thing. But we'll see if Van Dyke has some help with the run game. Tyler Van Dimes, they're calling him. Tyler Van Dimes has been dropping the dimes, and we'll see if it continues for Miami in what will be a hostile environment.
And one of Mr. Reeves' great jobs as he hosts the Three Dog Thursday podcast on the YouTube channel as well. Give me a dog either in the college football world later today or in the NFL tomorrow that you like a couple.
I like a couple of them. let's stick with in the Southeast. Let's stick with Auburn coming up here against Penn State.
3:30.
Revenge game, 3:30, coming up in about an hour on the plains of Auburn. Penn State won the game, Jason, dramatically, as you know, last year in primetime at home.
Yep.
Brian Harson's been under fire. Again, they've got TJ Finley, a former LSU quarterback. My God, we can't keep up with whose quarterbacks are where. I'm watching Dylan Gabriel, the former UCF quarterback, quarterbacking Oklahoma a little while ago. Of course, the Oklahoma quarterback, Caleb Williams, is lighting it up at USC. You can't keep up with who has what quarterback where. But anyway, TJ Finley, former LSU quarterback, is the quarterback for Auburn at home. They can run the ball, and I think they're going to be ready as an underdog, as a 3-point underdog, 3 or 3.5 point underdog with Penn State to pay them back for revenge. So keep an eye on that one coming up at 3:30. And keep an eye as well, Mr. Powers, in the NFL on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Do you want my stat from Three Dog Thursday about the Jags and the Indianapolis Colts? This is an early game in North Florida coming tomorrow. The Jacksonville Jaguars have beaten the Indianapolis Colts, Jason, not once, not twice, 6 consecutive times as the home team, the air quotes home team. That includes a win in London back about 4 years ago. They beat Indianapolis and Andrew Luck. But this streak, it spans back to Andrew Luck. They beat him a couple of times in Jacksonville. Last year, they beat Carson Wentz and the Colts when they had to win in Week 18 to make the playoffs. Jacksonville's already fired Urban Meyer. He's already gone, brother. And Jacksonville still won the game in Week 18, the final game of the regular season. 2020 pandemic year, Jacksonville opens up the year with Indianapolis at home and wins the opening game against Frank Reich and the Colts that year, 2020. And then they didn't win another game, did they? They were 1-15, I think.
Right.
So they have had the Colts number at home. They're getting points at home. Trevor Lawrence looked pretty good last week. Give me Jacksonville as an underdog against Indianapolis tomorrow. We'll stick right here in the state for that one.
I like it. Quick update, live update. Everybody thought Georgia might struggle 38-0 at South Carolina. And it's 1st and goal, Oklahoma, about to make it 49-7 in Lincoln.
And I can tell you right now, Brent Venables has been an Oklahoma assistant forever before going to Clemson. He is Oklahoma through and through. Loves that program, is that program. They would love nothing better to get to 50, 60 points on Nebraska if they can get there. They don't care about Scott Frost being fired. They don't care about the rest. If they can get a 7th touchdown and 8th touchdown on Nebraska, they're going to go get it in the second half of this game. They're not calling the dogs off in this situation.
Let's get to your showdown game tomorrow. You're getting ready to get on the plane to head to New Orleans.
Yes, sir.
Saints. Are you a medical doctor yet? Because a lot of injury reports coming out of One Buck Place in New Orleans this week.
Here's the good news. The good news is they have a lot of depth at receiver. The bad news is they may be using all of it here in week 1, including maybe even a call up off the practice squad. Keep an eye on a couple of those guys that we saw in the preseason in Terrence Knighton and Tompkins, the other receiver. One of those guys might get a call up depending on what happens here. Mike Evans was able to practice some on Friday. The belief is he's going to be able to give it a shot. Chris Godwin's already ruled out. Again, questionable for Julio Jones, questionable for Russell Gage. So this is going to
doubtful.
Donovan Smith doubtful. So but this is big at receiver for Scotty Miller, for Jalen Darden, and maybe one of those guys from the preseason, and maybe even Brashad Perriman might be needed some too. But the Bucs have a lot of depth at receiver. It's concerning that if Donovan Smith can't play. I know Cam Jordan, the great pass rusher of the Saints, is also hurt. He's a great right end, a great pass rusher. That's Brady's blind side. The veteran Josh Wells would be the left tackle in place of Donovan Smith if he can't go. So they might have to scheme and game plan a little bit, get the ball out of his hands quick, get a double team block over there, et cetera, et cetera. And the Saints are banged up too. Jameis Winston has not practiced very much. He's got an injured back.
Kamara's been banged up.
He's hurt. Jameis, wants to play, but how effective is he going to be? He hurt the back in the second half of the Falcons game, even though he played great. So lots of subplots, and I do know this. They've had the mojo in that dome, especially on the Buccaneers, and 6 straight regular season wins.
You being there, you being on these sidelines the last couple of years with Brady, what do you see with the Buccaneers? That just for what is it a scheme issue with Dennis Allen? that's just really flustered the Buccaneer offense? What do you see from field
I think
level?
I honestly in each case it's kind of been different. By the way, Oklahoma just got in the red
49-7.
zone another touchdown on Nebraska, just flogging them. But like for example, in the 2020 season, there were no fans in the opening game, but the Bucs played well offensively, but it was turnovers in that game. In the home game in 2020, in the loss to the Saints where they got obliterated, they couldn't run the football. They weren't trying to run the football. They kept going 3 and out with the physical Saints defense and putting Drew Brees right back on the field to pepper them and blow them out. All right. The game was a shootout again in the Superdome where the Bucs made some big plays, but again, it was turnovers. Brady interception, sack, fumble loss. Then in the game at home, I'm not making excuses, but when Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Leonard Fournette all got hurt, Evans and Godwin in the first half, Fournette early in the second half, that became a totally different personnel group, and the Saints just clamped down in what was a snooze fest 9-0 game. Right. So I think when you look at this tomorrow, can they run it? Again, Fournette is questionable. Rashad White, Keyshawn Vaughn running it. Right. Can they run it some and sustain some drives, get the crowd out of the game, etc.? Stay away from the turnovers. Huge. Stay away from the turnovers because in the 2 losses at the Superdome the last 2 years, it's been turnovers. It's been Brady's undoing. I think those are 2 big keys. Run it well. Don't turn it over.
And they showed they could run it well last week in Dallas. Ran the ball really well. And New Orleans got gashed by the Falcons last week on the ground. Cordarrelle Patterson,
they did.
Over 100. They ran for about 160 yards as a team. So I think you're going to see more 2 tight end sets tomorrow with Otten and Keith with Brate. They ran a lot of again, back to your wide receiver issue. You have more tight ends available to you. Heavier sets, more options in the running game, things like that. So I think
I'll tell you this, they love Keith as a blocker. And they were using him as the H-back. They were using him as the extra tight end. And Otten can block too. And you may see Kyle Rudolph for the first time. He was inactive last week. Yep. You may see him as an extra tight end and just rotate those guys in and play some 2 tight ends and lock it up in some old school, some 70s, 80s old school NFL football. We'll see if it's some of that for this game. And I still maintain this. Look, I have a great personal relationship with Jameis Winston. I always have. I always will say publicly he was good. He was good to me even after losses in the job that I do on the radio after games. But he is what he is if he's pressured. He's going to throw interceptions. If the Bucs can get pressure on him, getting behind and down in distance, getting behind on the scoreboard, he will throw it to you. I saw it 500 times, Jason. He will throw you the ball. He will throw interceptions. So catching them may be part of it, but be ready for that. Be ready for the Buck defense to get a couple of picks maybe in this game as big momentum swings if they can rattle Jameis Winston. Again, if he's not very healthy and not playing a lot, Andy Dalton is the veteran quarterback, and Dalton has been taking some snaps this week with the first team, so it may be Andy Dalton some in the Superdome, my friend.
Okay, last thing I'll get you at are defensively. I was very impressed with the Bucs secondary last week, and they're going to face a formidable receiving corps. Mike Thomas is back, Jarvis Landry, Chris Olave. So you're going to have much more to defend than you did last week in Dallas. But I like what the Bucs secondary did last week in Dallas.
Yeah, they are tremendous at the wide receiver. You're absolutely right. I saw Olave a couple of times in college doing national radio games. Landry, possession receiver, and Michael Thomas was going and making plays. That is quarterback's best friend to have a weapon like that to go down the field. So, yeah, Bucs with Carlton Davis, Jamel Dean, Sean Murphy, Bunting. They've been using Antoine Winfield or Mike Edwards as well as a third defensive back in this game. Let's just see. Let's just see how it all plays out in the Superdome. I got a good feeling. I don't play in the games, so I'm allowed to have a good feeling. I got a good feeling about the Bucs. By the way, one more note before I leave you. They have never won, ever, not once. They've never won the first 2 games of the season on the road. They've had this situation a couple of times before. Most recently was 2017, won the opening game for Dirk Cutter. Actually, 2016, won the opening game for Dirk Cutter at Atlanta. Lost the second game in blowout fashion to who? Bruce Arians and the Arizona Cardinals. Blew them out. There was a Tony Dungy year in 2001 where the first 2 games were road games because of the break on 9/11. Won the first game in Dallas, you had the break on 9/11, and then you lost a game at Minnesota. So they have never won the first 2 games of a season on the road. Let's see if the Bucs get a first in their 47th year of the franchise, Mr. Powers.
All right, before you go get on that Lear jet you're getting ready to get on.
It's not a Lear jet, please.
Tell everybody where they can find you on your social media and all the
you
good stuff that
see
you're
it.
doing.
You see it right there at Buck Sideline Guy on social media, on Twitter. You can also find us on the Buccaneers Radio Network, 98 Rock in the Tampa Bay area. Go to the Buccaneers mobile app, Buccaneers.com. Anywhere in Central Florida, you can hear us on the Buccaneers mobile app or Buccaneers.com. I'll be on after the game's over with, hopefully in a happy locker room with the players and Coach Todd Bowles. And listen, I always love being on with you. Any chance that I get to talk football with Florida Football Insiders, your podcast. You and Peter Blake do a great job talking Buccaneers. No Quarter Given is the Buccaneer podcast where they look at the history of the rivalry with the Saints. How about this? The only winning record that the Buccaneers have in a uniform scheme is with white jerseys, pewter pants, and the pewter helmets. No other scheme is a winning scheme. They're wearing white jerseys, pewter pants, pewter helmets tomorrow. That's the kind of stuff you find out on buckpower.com and the No Quarter Given podcast that you and Peter Blake do, my friend.
And I'm going to give you a quick plug and get you out of here. TJ is kind of our Jason Light, general manager of the College Gridiron Coast to Coast podcast platform.
Right.
We have about 6 or 7, 8 podcasts from all around the country. If you're a college football fan, everywhere from the Pac-12 to the SEC, Louisiana, Florida, ACC,
Big Ten,
whatever you like, there's a podcast for you. And TJ's kind of the ringleader of this network. So I appreciate you giving me an opportunity to be on the network with you.
You're covering the Florida angle tremendously. There's so many teams in Florida. Florida Football Insiders is your podcast. Keep it up. And my man, Steve Carney, who's been around in the radio market for 20 years, does a great job. He is the glue on the College Gridiron Coast to Coast podcast feed. Look it up wherever you get podcasts. College Gridiron Coast to Coast. Again, you guys do a great job with the Florida angle. Man, you're going to have some games to talk about in college with the Florida State win, South Florida USF at Florida, Miami at Texas A&M, and that FAU game with UCF in Boca Raton. That may be sneaky good. We shall see, my friend.
45-0 in Columbia. About 25 people left in the stadium in Columbia.
Yeah, it's
trip,
bad.
brother.
Yeah. Always good to be with you, Brother Powers. Keep doing what you're doing on social media with everything here on the live platforms. I look forward to hearing more from you on the No Quarter Given for the Bucks
night, and the 29th. You're going to get you here. Iced tea, a meal on me at Beef's, baby.
I love it. All right, you guys be well. Good to be with you.
See you, buddy. All right, we are back. Thanks for TJ Reeves, Buccaneer Radio, host of the Three Dog Thirsty podcast. He does a boxing podcast. He also does lots of stuff, gambling with BetUS TV. So you'll see. Check out TJ online at Buck Sideline Guy, where he does lots of different things throughout the week. So we are here live at Beef O'Brady's, Busch Boulevard and Himes Avenue. Got a full house here. We are in the late third quarter of these early window games, the 12 o'clock window. We got Blowout City in Lincoln. We've got Syracuse that just scored to take the lead 10-9 against Purdue. Georgia rolling, Michigan rolling. Not a whole lot of drama here. We do have some good 3:30 games we're going to talk about here in just a minute or two. But again, if you're in the area, come by, have a beverage, have a cocktail, have a meal, lunch, dinner. We're open 7 days a week here. Beef O'Brady's, Busch and Himes. Also want to give a shout out to Hank's Barbecue, as well as Home Slice Pizza, as well as Print and Marketing Solutions. My guy Todd Tedesco, he's the one that created this beautiful sign for us in the background that you're going to see here at Beef's. For all of your printing needs, corporate printing needs, signs, banners, all the things you need for corporate. And we're going to get this man on here in just a second. The owner, going to get my man on over here. Oh, yes, you. Come on. You got to come on for a minute or two. We will talk. Let's come on. There's our man, TJ Maloof, the owner here, is going to come on here in just a few minutes. He's a big Ole Miss fan, so we're going to talk a little Ole Miss, Georgia Tech tonight. But not a lot going on here in the early window. We do have a good 3:30 window. We've got BYU, Oregon. We got Penn State, Auburn. We got those are the two big ones in the. We also have Cal and Notre Dame. Remember, Notre Dame's winless so far, 0-2. A lot of heat on Marcus Freeman. Cal coming to South Bend for that one. And then tonight, 9 o'clock, Miami, Texas A&M. 7:30, Florida, USF. We got FAU and UCF tonight. Have another sneaky good game. Michigan State, Washington later tonight. Michigan State heads to Washington. Washington has the transfer quarterback from Tampa, Michael Penix, who used to be at Indiana, big-time high school kid out of Tampa as well. So, and then we're also going to do a little point spread stuff. We're going to do some point spread stuff, and then we're going to hit the NFL the last 20 minutes or so of the broadcast. We're going to go through the NFL slate for tomorrow. So let's get to the 3:30 slates. 3:30 in Auburn. Auburn getting 3 points against Penn State. A little surprising that Penn State's a 3-point favorite. A lot of people think Auburn could win that game in Auburn. That'll be a tough environment at Jordan-Hare. I am going to take Auburn. I think Auburn plus the 3 is a good play. TJ Finley, you got Sean Clifford, the quarterback's been at Penn State forever. Again, James Franklin comes back to the SEC. Remember, he used to be at Vanderbilt. But I like Auburn at home plus the 3:30 CBS. Let's go to BYU, Oregon. The Ducks are hosting the Cougars of BYU. Remember, BYU last undefeated. They came to Tampa 2 weeks ago and beat the Bulls pretty bad. They then went home last week and beat Baylor in double overtime in a really good game. So BYU goes to Autzen, out to Oregon. Oregon's about a 3.5, 4-point favorite. I like Oregon today. I think Oregon gets it done. Dan Lanning, first-year coach. I do like Oregon today, minus the 4 to get it done to thwart BYU. BYU's probably going to be without their 2 best wide receivers. They're a good team, very physical, but I do like Oregon at home. Patrick Nix, the former Auburn player, is the Oregon quarterback now. They did not play very well week 1 at Georgia, but again, Georgia's boat racing South Carolina 45-0 late third quarter. So Georgia is legit, clearly the number 1 team in the country, better than Alabama at this point. Georgia, clearly your number 1 team in the country. So another interesting game. Georgia Southern heads to UAB, my alma mater. Back in the day, UAB. How is UAB a 12.5-point favorite against Georgia Southern? Georgia Southern just went to Nebraska, and I know Nebraska's not very good, but they beat Nebraska last week, and now they're getting 12.5 points. Head coach of Georgia Southern, Clay Helton, former USC coach, who's fired. But again, that's a big number, in my opinion, going to UAB. UAB's good. They've lost Bill Clark, their head coach, new system in place. I would take Georgia Southern in the 12.5, no doubt about it. Cal heading to Notre Dame. This game's kicking off at right about now, 2:30-ish in South Bend. Again, struggle city for Notre Dame so far offensively. Their quarterback, Buckner, he's out for the year. They got a new quarterback. But defensively, you've got to play better defensively. You can't give up the points in the rushing yards you gave up to Marshall. Cal comes in 2-0. I do expect Notre Dame to get the W, to get off the snide, but they better win this game, or there will be massive heat on Marcus Freeman in South Bend, in the upstate of Indiana. They're up in South Bend. So I do like Notre Dame to get it done today, to get off the snide, get in the winner's column. Live updates, 4:50 left in the third quarter. Oklahoma 49-7 over Nebraska. Wow. Georgia rolling, Michigan rolling. The best game of the day is at the 12 o'clock window. Is probably this Syracuse-Purdue game. It's 10-9 Syracuse. Late third quarter up in Syracuse. Very even matchup. I like Purdue in the games, but very even matchup here. Purdue and Syracuse, 10-9 late third quarter. Later on in the slate, Central Florida is an 8-point favorite at FAU. 7:30. That place will be jumping down in Boca. If you go to the Powers on Sports and Florida Football Insiders podcast, you'd hear Jim Leavitt, former USF coach, on every week with me. He really thinks FAU can give UCF a run here tonight with Willie Taggart and company. Again, you heard TJ mention the Miami quarterback, N'Kosi Perry. So he's quarterbacking FAU right now. You got Central Florida with the transfer from Ole Miss, Plumlee, Gus Malzahn and company. I think it's going to be a really good game. Central Florida's got more in the trenches, I think, but I think FAU will be able to score and keep the game close. I think this is a very interesting game going to the fourth quarter tonight. In Gainesville, Florida, 24-point favorite over USF, 7:30 on SEC Network tonight. Again, remember Florida has Tennessee next week. They play in Knoxville next week. So could you argue there's a look ahead possibility? Sure, but again, they lost last week to Kentucky. You cannot lose concentration. Richardson did not play very well last week against Kentucky after his Utah performance. So look for Florida to be more dynamic in the passing game, especially the offensive line for Florida. The running game has been pretty good for 2 games. So again, I don't think USF will win the game, but if you're USF, you've got to be competitive late in this game. You cannot let this game get out of hand early. Again, not that you have to win the game, but you can't get beat 55-10. It's got to be a couple touchdowns at worst, 3 touchdowns at the worst that you get beat tonight. Big spread of 24, over under 59.5. Again, I think Florida's going to really try to make a statement tonight to play well in front of their crowd. There'll be some USF people in the house as well up in Gainesville. Short trip to Gainesville, couple-hour trip up to Gainesville, but I do think Florida will get it done. Washington hosts Michigan State. Washington, a 3-point favorite against the number 11 team in the country, Michigan State. Mel Tucker. Got a new coach at Washington, Kalen DeBoer. Like we mentioned, the new quarterback, Michael Penix from Tampa, is the quarterback. Got some fans in the house over here. Number 1 Buck fan from Bangor, Maine over here. We got Packer fans, we got Bucks fans, we got Saints fans, we got all kind of college football fans in the building. Again, great place to watch all your action. They have the NFL ticket on Sundays over here at Beef, so definitely if you're in the area, great place to watch a game. They probably have 18 to 20 TVs rolling. Every game you want to watch, they'll get for you here at Beef. So college football, NFL, the place to be. Come to Beef's, Busch Boulevard and Himes Avenue, and tell them Jason and the Powers on Sports podcast sent you, baby. Washington, I like Washington tonight. I think Washington wins the game. In Seattle, it's a tough place to play. I like the Huskies, the rebirth under Kalen DeBoer. Give me Washington minus the 3 points tonight in Seattle. Tricky game, Texas and Texas San Antonio later tonight. Remember, Texas lost the heartbreaker last week to Alabama. How will Sark and company respond? Remember, the quarterback, Ewers, is out for 4 to 6 weeks. The backup quarterback, Hudson Card's a little banged up as well. It's be interesting to see how he is able to play tonight. Defensively, I was very impressed with Texas defensively. They played really well. I like what they did defensively. They ran the ball. They were better than Alabama most of that game last week. So definitely like what Sark's doing. But again, do not fall into the trap tonight of UTSA being a cupcake. They are not. They are a good team. They want a piece of the Longhorns in-state rivalry. I do think Texas will get it done, though. I think Texas will be buttoned up tonight, and we'll beat them by a couple touchdowns. Miami, Texas A&M, 9 o'clock, ESPN prime time. You got Herb Street and Fowler on the call. Again, all the storylines we talked about with TJ. Max Johnson, new starting quarterback at A&M. You got Tyler Van Dyke. You got the pressure of losing last week to App State. Jimbo, the heat will be an inferno if they lose this game tonight on Jimbo Fisher and Texas A&M. So Van Dyke won't have his number 1 receiver. He's out. Miami, can they defensively, do enough defensively to contain Max Johnson in that offense? Didn't see a lot of weapons at Texas A&M last week. Maybe the quarterback change will be the difference here. The spread's 6.5, 7. I would probably take the Hurricanes plus the points here to keep it close at worst. A lot of people think Miami can win the game outright. And again, this is a game if Miami. You got to stop playing close. You got to beat one of these big teams in their place. So here's a great chance to do that in College Station. the Aggies do not have another home game after tonight till late October. So this is a huge game for the Aggies as well. Huge. I like Miami. If I was gambling on the game, I would tease up Miami. But I do like Miami plus the 6.5. I would definitely buy to 7 if you're going to play the game. Buy Miami up to 7, not 6.5. Buy them up to 7 to protect yourself as well. Georgia 45-0 fourth quarter. Michigan rolling 45-0. Nebraska still down, obviously end of the third quarter, 49-7 Oklahoma. Mississippi State, last game, college game we'll talk about. Mississippi State, LSU. Mississippi State, 2.5 3-point favorite in Baton Rouge. I kind of like LSU tonight. I think LSU is going to find a way to get it done. Mississippi State went out to Arizona last week, did not look great, won the game, didn't look great. Arizona was in that game far longer than they needed to be. I like LSU tonight. I'll take LSU at home plus the 2.5 3 points. Get Brian Kelly's his first SEC win. So there's your college wrap up. Lots of games, lots of good late games. 3:30 and late games coming up here in the evening window. Let's transition to the National Football League. Week 2 coming up. I'm gonna go down the NFL slate game by game. I'm gonna give you a pick as well as against the number. Hopefully you watch a Thursday night game. Great game, San Diego or the Chargers in Kansas City. Mahomes, Herbert. By the way, that's a bad job by Herbert. I know if you remember the scenario, they threw a ball to the tight end, run down about the 3-yard line, run a hurry up offense. The tight end is begging out of the game because he's exhausted. They don't substitute him out. Herbert then runs another play, and they throw it to the same guy who's exhausted. Miscommunication, 100-yard, 99-yard interception return for a touchdown, turns the whole game. So that is on Justin Herbert. Not on the sure, it's on the coaches a little bit for not getting the guy out of the game, but you know he's exhausted, Justin Herbert. You cannot throw him the ball in that scenario. Throw it in the ground, throw it out of bounds, throw it to somebody else. It's 1st and goal at the 3. The whole game changes on that 99-yard interception return. So poor on Justin Herbert. He did gut it out. He got hurt. Rib cartilage injury. Got hurt. Gutted it out. Give him credit. But that is on him. Staley as well. This guy Staley, coach, you're down 10 points. 4th and goal from the 6-yard line. 3 minutes to go in the game. A minute and a half to go in the game. Kick the field goal, man. Kick the field goal. You go for it on 4th and 6. You make it out. I mean, luckily you scored the touchdown. Kick the field goal, bro. Don't try to overthink it. You have to score twice. Had you not scored that touchdown right there, I'd be crushing you right now. And I'm still hammering you because you made the wrong call. You got lucky that you got out of it, but you make the wrong call and you lose the game. I mean, you lost the game anyway. Great job by Kansas City with the passing offense. I like what they were doing. All that good stuff. All right, here we go. NFL slate. Miami heading to Baltimore. Baltimore's about a 3.5-point favorite. Good performance early on by Tua. The Ravens kind of limped through the game against the Jets last week. Nice job by Tua beating the Patriots. I like Baltimore minus the 3.5. At home, I think home opener. I think you'll see better Lamar. The defense will be a little better. Though Miami's had Lamar's number, they've had some challenges against Lamar in some previous matchups. So Lamar's had challenges with the Miami defense, excuse me. But I do like Baltimore tomorrow minus 3.5. And I do think, again, I'll take Baltimore. The Jets head to Cleveland. Cleveland minus 6 against the Jets. Remember, the Cleveland wins the miracle game last week in Carolina. 58-yard field goal at the gun. The Jets get just not very good against Baltimore at home. Flacco starting again. But I don't like I like Cleveland tomorrow. If I'm gambling, I would tease the game down. I would tease down Cleveland to just win the game. Brissett played okay last week, just fine. He didn't turn the ball over. They ran the ball great in Carolina. Chubb, Hunt, get more touches to Amari Cooper. But I'll take Cleveland at home in the home opener. I just don't think the Jets are very good. And with Flacco at the helm, I can't bet the Jets. Washington Commanders go to Detroit. Commanders win the game last week at home against the Jaguars. Carson Wentz, 4 touchdown passes, played pretty well. 2 interceptions, but 4 touchdown passes. Were Detroit loses another tough one, 38-35 to Philadelphia. So Detroit's a team that likes to lose close, and they find ways to lose. Detroit's actually favored for the first time in forever. They're 1.5-point favorite. So interesting game here. This is a total toss-up. I can see both teams winning, no doubt about it. I'm not going to gamble on the game, but slight lean. I'll say Detroit with a field goal at the gun to win the game would be my call. Indianapolis Colts head to Jacksonville to see the Jaguars. Both teams, the Colts tied last week against the Texans. On the road this week at Jacksonville, who lost last week in Washington. Lawrence played pretty well. Bad performance by the Colts for 3.5 quarters in Houston last week. They missed a field goal to win it in overtime. Cut Hot Rod, the kicker. And Indianapolis got a new kicker. I don't know what's going on with Indianapolis, why they can't come out of the gate stronger, but they don't. Taylor had a huge game running the ball. Pittman had a nice game catching the ball. It's a tricky game. You heard TJ Reeves going with his upset special, taking the Jaguars and the points at home. Tricky game. I would not bet on this game. I don't have it. I think the Colts are better, but you have the heat of Florida, back-to-back road games, back-to-back division road games for the Colts. Tricky spot here for the Colts. If you're the Colts, you got to find a way to win this game. But I do not have a gambling opinion on the game. 1:00 game in New Orleans, Bucs Saints. We've kind of broken that down. My thoughts: the Bucs, I think, you're going to win a close one. I could see minus the 2.5. If I played the game, I would play the Bucs minus the 2.5. We have a score update in Syracuse. Purdue has scored up 15-10. Do not make the 2-point conversion. So it's 15-10 Purdue over Syracuse. 11 minutes to go, fourth quarter. 49-7 Oklahoma. Georgia rolling. Michigan rolling. So, again, we are here at Beefs on Busch and Himes. Definitely come out. We will be here the Thursday night of the Miami-Cincinnati Thursday night game in about 10, 12 days. We will be here for that as well, myself and Peter Blake, so definitely check it out. We'll also be here twice every month. We'll be here twice every month. We'll definitely put on social media. The dates will be here. At JPO Sports is the Twitter handle. Love to hear from you. Again, Jason Powers Sports Channel on YouTube, the Powers on Sports podcast, the No Quarter Given podcast, Florida Football Insiders podcast. I host them all. Subscribe, rate, and review. When you come in, tell the people at Beefs and Hanks and Home Slice Pizza you heard about us on the podcast. They'd love to hear that, and they're great partners with us this football season. We really want to thank them for being involved with us. Next game, also want to mention Titan Home Lending as well, Print and Marketing Solutions, and Star Alvarado, my real estate agent partner as well. So reach out to Star Alvarado if you're looking to buy or sell your home. Definitely reach out to Star Alvarado. She'll be glad to help you anywhere in the Tampa Bay area. So Giants host the Panthers. Giants 2-point favorites. They win in Tennessee last week, go for 2 and make it at the end. Carolina loses the heartbreaker at home on the 58-yard field goal by Cleveland at the gun. Tough game to call here, by the way, as well. I think I could see it's a very tough game to call. I don't have an opinion. Again, Mayfield played much better the second half last week. Daniel Jones played okay. Saquon Barkley played really well from a fantasy perspective and a yardage perspective. Jones was okay. Dayball, I like what Dayball's doing in New York. I think he's going to be a good coach. Total toss-up. Have no opinion. Pittsburgh and New England. New England's a 2.5 point favorite in Pittsburgh. I was a little surprised, very surprised at that. No TJ Watt, out with a bicep injury. Trubisky and company go to Cincinnati and win an overtime thriller last week against the Bengals. Patriots get beat convincingly at Miami by Tua. I like Pittsburgh here. I like the points. I would take Pittsburgh in the 2 points, 2.5 points. I would probably, if you like to tease games, I would tease up Pittsburgh to probably plus 8.5. I think this is a one touchdown game either way, but I would take Pittsburgh in the points here at home. Trubisky played well. Looks like Najee Harris is going to play. So reach out, and I would take Pittsburgh at home against the New England Patriots. Don't like what I'm seeing out of New England offensively. Late games, the Rams and the Falcons. Rams minus 10, 10.5. Coming off the Thursday night loss, beating by the Buffalo Bills. I definitely see a bounce back game here by the Rams. Atlanta blew a game last week. They had no business losing to New Orleans. I think the Rams will get healthy this week. I think you'll see a much better effort, and I would take the Rams. This would be a potential survivor pool pick. If you're in a survivor pool, would be the Rams. And Georgia kicking a field goal to go up 48-0 in Columbia. 8 minutes to go in Columbia. There's about 48 people there in Columbia. But I like the Rams big here. I think the Rams will cover the number as well. Seattle, San Francisco. San Francisco is about a 9-10 point favorite. Seattle pulls the upset on Monday night with the wild finish with Nathaniel Hackett and the Broncos. Russell Wilson, Trey Lance. Again, hard to judge Trey Lance fully because of the monsoon last week in Chicago, but he didn't play great. He missed some open guys, and the interception he threw had nothing to do with the weather, just a bad throw. So it's a big game for the 49ers. They cannot afford to lose this game. Not sure what the status of Kittle is going to be. He's probably 50-50 to play. Geno Smith in Seattle. You got DK Metcalf, the defense. Jamal Adams out for the year with a leg injury. I would expect San Francisco to find a way to win the game, but it wouldn't shock me if this was a 7-point game late in the game, because San Francisco does not scare me offensively yet. Lost their running back last week, Elijah Mitchell, but I would not, and it's a division game, so these guys know each other very well. Wouldn't be surprised at all if this game goes down to the wire, 3 to 7 point game, but I do think San Francisco will win the game. How's your meal? Good? Yep. Talking to mom and dad. Mom and dad are in the house today supporting on the live stream. So a couple more games and we'll get out of here. Cincinnati, Dallas. In Dallas, late window. Nance and Romo, I believe, will be there. Obviously, no Dak Prescott. Going to be out probably 4 to 6 weeks. Thumb surgery. Burrow did not play very well last week. Had turned it over 5 times. They lose to Pittsburgh at home. Cincinnati's a 7.5, 8 point favorite. That's a lot of points. I do like Cooper Rush a little bit. I think Dallas this week could play well defensively. I think Cooper Rush can do okay offensively. I think he'll be able to move the ball a little bit. They'll be able to run the ball a little bit. I like Dallas plus the points here tomorrow in Dallas. Houston and Denver. In Denver, I would expect Denver to win handily. Again, the upset loss Monday night. Russell Wilson, the coaching blunder by Hackett. Lovie Smith plays for the tie. Doesn't even try to win the game. Not down with that. But give me Denver to win the game. Arizona Raiders in Las Vegas. Tricky game here. Again, Raiders lose a tough one last week to the Chargers. Carr, Devontae had a chance to win it late, didn't. Arizona got blowed out at home in the desert versus Kansas City. I do think I would take the Raiders tomorrow. I'm not real thrilled with what I'm seeing out of Kyler Murray and company. Did not look very prepared last week in that game against Kansas City. I thought they were going to be in that game. All that stuff. Chicago, Green Bay, Sunday night in Lambeau. Green Bay's about a 10-point favorite. I fully expect Green Bay to lay down the hammer here. You'll see some better play out of the wide receivers. Rodgers, the defense will play better. I think this will be a 2-touchdown game. Remember, Rodgers owns the Bears, had all kinds of success over his career against the Bears and such. So I definitely like Green Bay. 2 games Monday night. Buffalo, Tennessee in Buffalo. Buffalo's about a 9. A lot of big point spreads this week. A lot of big spreads, which makes it hard to make bets. Buffalo 10 at home against Tennessee. Buffalo should win the game. Whether they cover the 10 or not, who knows? And we now have a touchback in Nebraska, interception in the end zone by Oklahoma, 49-7 Oklahoma. I like Buffalo to win the game. I could see Tennessee covering the number late on a late touchdown. Henry, Tannehill, Woods, company. We'll see. But I do think Buffalo win the game. And the other, maybe the game of the weekend might be Minnesota and Philadelphia, Monday night in Philadelphia. Minnesota played very well last week against Green Bay, played really well. Cousins, Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, the defense played really well against Aaron Rodgers. Jalen Hurts, very good on offense. They scored 38 in Detroit. I didn't like that the defense gave up 35. So I definitely think this could be this could be a game. Phillies -2.5. Gun to my head, I would take Minnesota, but this could definitely be a game that goes either way. I would definitely tease up Minnesota if you're going to play Minnesota. Put them in a teaser, tease them up to 8.5, 12.5. But there you go. NFL docket, week number 2, National Football League again. BFO, we are here. BFO Brady's, Busch Boulevard and Himes Avenue. Definitely check it out. They did a full remodel of the restaurant. It looks great. TVs galore. Getting ready to start the 3:30 windows here in a few minutes, and lots of stuff going on. They got great promotions every night of the week, menu specials, that kind of stuff. They do karaoke, they do trivia. We'll be here as well, so lots of stuff going on here at Beef O'Brady's. Again, Himes and Busch Boulevard. Also, go check out Hank's Barbecue on Northdale Mabry, just north of Waters. And Home Slice Pizza, which is in the same strip mall where the Beef O'Brady's is here on Himes for all your pizza needs, all your Italian needs, and all that. Home Slice Pizza Company. And again, Titan Home Lending. If you're out looking for a mortgage, again, lots of stuff going on in the real estate world. If you need a mortgage, reach out Titan Home Lending to myself. I can help you. 205-790-1404. So yeah, if you're looking to purchase a house, interest rates are going up sooner rather than later, so don't wait too much longer if you're looking, because rates are probably going up again a little bit here in a little bit. Print and Marketing Solutions, they do great work. They did the banner here right behind us. You're going to see this banner here at Beef O'Brady's. They do great work as far as signs, banners, road signs, corporate events. You need stuff for your corporate marketing things, posters. They do menus at restaurants, all that kind of stuff. Go see my guy Todd Tedesco at the corner of Gun and Lineball right here in Citrus Park, Carrollwood. Print and Marketing Solutions. So appreciate you listening in. We'll be doing this again. More and more streams like this will be coming up in the future. Again, Game Day Live. I'm your host, Jason Powers. Appreciate you finding us. Tell your friends about our podcast, No Quarter Given, Powers on Sports, and the Florida Football Insiders podcast. Subscribe, rate, and review. Love to hear from you. If you got any comments, suggestions, we'd love to hear them at JPost Sports on Twitter. So have a great Saturday. Have a great Sunday, and we'll talk to you next time on Game Day Live.